So today's talk could be understood as you've been dating all the wrong guys. I believe that what we're trying to do in Montessori is not just educate children, but form a sense of community. It's really about mental health. It's about relationship and helping parents to feel that they can ask questions. They don't need to feel stupid, that they're not being asked to swear a lifelong allegiance to Maria Montessori or your school. And yet, from our end, every time a child leaves us before graduation, it not only breaks our heart for the child and the family, for the what could be done. I mean, why would they leave us and go to what the typical state school does or to a very conventional school? Ideally, we want children to grow up together, to graduate together, to become everything they can possibly become. And we know what it's all about, but not every parent wants that for their children. And I think a lot of times we are the victims of our own popularity. Lots of people come to us, they don't understand who we are. All they know is it sounds good. They think it's a great preparation for Cambridge or Oxford or Harvard or whatever. And they just don't get it because we're not going to send home textbooks and workbooks and homework normally. And from their end, as my son would put it, it's like a black box. You have no idea what your kid's doing all day because they get into the car at the end of the day and you say, "So, Sandy, what'd you do?" And she says, "I don't know, son, it was a good day. Talked to my friends, I played." So what we're trying to do is not educate parents because parents do not normally want to be educated. They're already educated. And what they really want is not to be convinced that they should stay with your school for one more year. What they want to know is, why should I come out at night and be with you? And we really want them to be on board. It isn't just about understanding Montessori or staying with us through graduation. It's a whole experience that our teachers feel that their work is appreciated, that the parents are actually reading what we're sending home with them, that they are involved in a partnership with us, and they're not just coming in upset and eating up our time. And so what we want to do is build relationships that last. So you see children clearly. I mean, you're trained to observe children, to bear witness to them. The bottom line is the parents don't really get it. At least they normally don't. And we want to help them to see it. We're bearing witness. We're thrilled. And they kind of know who you are. The odds are reasonably good that if you're a school leader, you've got three groups of people in your school, and I don't have a slide for this. One is the group that I think of as holding hands and rocking to the music and singing a song like Kumbaya. They are the Montessori groupies, and they're wonderful. They really, really appreciate what it's about. They cannot imagine why anyone would send their child to something other than Montessori. We see this, of course, in every kind of school, whether it's a faith-based school or a military academy or conventional school. Every school has people that love it. I think the goal of a Montessori school is to attract families who really love us for who we are and really want to be with us. So we all have that group of parents, and usually it's not that big a group. It's usually the same five parents that show up every time we have a parent meeting, right? Then we have the group on the outside that some people call the drop-off dragons or the Montessori Mafia. There's a group of parents that can't wait until end of term so they can get their kid into a real school. And they don't have to listen to this Montessori mishmash anymore. Or they say, it was all great. I loved it. Because parents usually don't leave us because they're unhappy. They just don't understand what all the fuss is about because their kids are ready for real school. And then we have the typical parent that makes up about 60 to 80%. And that's people who don't know if they're going to be with you next week, no less next year. They're not quite sure, am I in a Montessori school or a monastery school? They don't really understand it, and they're not really all that worried about it. So I believe that our goal, ideally, I don't care if you're in Prague, I don't care if you're in Munich, I don't care if you're in London, I don't care if you're in New York City or Philadelphia. we want to find the right families. And oftentimes we have families who really don't understand who we are or what we're all about. And that's normal because they walk in with a 1 or 2 or 3 year old and they don't even know what it is to be a parent yet. So they've heard something about Montessori, the Montessori versus Waldorf or Steiner or Reggio. They don't know. The bottom line is we really have to find families, I believe, who truly want what we offer. And they may not know what we offer, and they may not have a name for it. That doesn't matter. It's who are they and what are they looking for? And is that something they really mean? Or does it sound good and tomorrow they will never call you back? So the bottom line is we all have a job, which is to make sure we have enough children to keep our enrollments full. So parents, when they approach us at the beginning of the relationship, we want to build partnerships. We want to understand what they're actually experiencing. They have lots of questions. For example, why is my kid just pouring water? He's washing dishes all day. What is this all about? I spent all that money. I mean, what is this Montessori thing? He doesn't need to learn how to be a waiter. Parents struggle to recognize why many of the things that we do matter. Now, some of them really appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. If they're looking at the trinomial cube or the hierarchy of the decimal system and going, I can't believe that my mother didn't send me to a school like this, it's great. But probably that isn't the typical parent that you've met. We also have parents that ask things like, well, how will I know how my child is doing if you're not going to give grades, if you're not going to tell me that she's 99th out of 100 of the kids, that she's the best kid in the class? Families are used to traditional benchmarks, whatever that is, and they always worry, is my child falling behind? Will she do well if she should transfer from your school to some other school? And I don't care if you're in southern France and she's going to go into the French system or whether she's in America and she's going to go into the public schools or some other private school. We've all been through this before. This breaks our hearts. So again, there's a gap. The typical family just doesn't really get it. And if you don't figure out what to do about that, you're probably going to be left on the side of the road. And they're going to say, it was fun. I really appreciate it. Thanks for everything. We're going elsewhere. So, what are we here to do together? I believe every family who chooses Montessori is placing a great deal of trust in our school and in us and our teachers, and we want to honor that trust. We don't just want to honor it when the relationship is beginning, that first week of school when they're all excited and they all want to know about Montessori and they all show up for the first meeting of the year. And by 1 or 2 months of the year, you probably get fewer and fewer and fewer parents showing up unless you're serving good drinks and good food or their kids are on stage, in which case they all show up. We want to help parents to move from curious observers to people who are confident and committed partners in our school and in their children's education. So we want to see the learning that's happening. We want to help parents recognize and appreciate what's going on in Montessori and trust it, to trust the process. And we can't just ask them to trust it. We've got to guide them to a point where they actually feel like they can let go and say, I may not understand exactly what you people are doing. It doesn't really resonate with anything I had as a kid, but I appreciate that you people have a good heart, that you're doing the right thing. My kid is clearly happy. She's coming home to the dinner table. She's talking about dinosaurs and asteroids and interstellar space or hominoids, whatever it is that interests her. And it's pretty clear she's getting an education. So again, I had a father in our school, Bob Zender, who had 3 kids that went through Barry School. And I remember every year the kids would give a graduation speech, all the kids were graduating. And he asked if he could speak when the last of his children graduated. He got up on stage after the kids gave their speeches and he said, this is the last time I'm going to be here as a parent. And I have been here now for 18 years. I have heard 18 years of these kinds of speeches. I have never understood what the heck the teachers and Tim were talking about. And I don't really understand what's going on in your classrooms. But what I do know is that whatever the magic is, it's working. And I may not understand why it's working, but I appreciate that it is working. And thank you. The bottom line is we want parents to feel like they belong to a community, that there's a genuine belonging, and that parents become advocates and contributors and lasting members of our school community. So again, parents are not necessarily resistant. They're not trying to be difficult. They're simply overwhelmed with worry, with troubles. I mean, many of you are living in an area where you've either got an uncertain economy, or you've got uncertain borders, or you've got uncertain um, politics going on. I mean, in Western Europe, you've got the possibility of war. I mean, things are happening and there's a lot of stress, and kids are seeing it. And the bottom line is we are trying to build an environment that is emotionally healthy. And many of these parents are living with high levels of stress and overwhelm. And so parents are often not sure if they made the right choice when they went to Montessori. Maybe they are. I mean, that's great if they are. But many times they really wonder, did I do the right thing? Is this the right thing? I mean, this was right when she was 2, but is it right when she's 4? Um, you may have conflicting advice. Friends may be saying, Lucy, are you crazy sending your kid to a Montessori school? You don't want your 5 kids to get a real education? And some of you have probably heard that kind of thing before. Um, Lots of people have opinions about what a good education looks like, and they worry that Montessori isn't it. Or it was good when they were really little, but now that they're big kids, we need to get serious. And parents are often afraid of getting it wrong. Their friends are going to other schools, their friends are telling them what to do, their in-laws are saying things, and they're worried, did I make the right decision? Now, if you don't experience any of that, that's great. But I've worked with families in almost every country in the world, and I hear this again and again and again, and I've heard it for more than 50 years now. So, our role with families is not to judge, and not to lecture, and not to educate, but rather to model what we want, encourage parents to relax, to listen to parents, to guide families. We're trying to walk beside them. We're trying to help them to feel like we're not just selling them on our school. They don't take a pledge of allegiance again to Maria Montessori or your school. What they're trying to do is solve a problem, which may be I need someone to educate my kid, or I need someone to watch my kid so I can go to work, or I need to go out and ride my horse. I don't know what they want, but they want something. And so our goal is to try to get to know them as people. And we're going to get a lot further if we approach them with warmth, with patience, and with genuine care. Same thing as children. It's all about building relationship. We want to ask questions. I would argue that these questions are what are on the right of my screen. The first question is, what are your hopes and dreams for your child? Tell me more. Understanding a family's deepest aspirations helps us connect with them and what's going on with their child and what the family is looking for. Another question is, what would you like us to understand about your family? Every child comes with a whole story, and we want to invite families to tell us what they're willing to tell us. And let's face it, they're not going to tell us what they think they don't want us to know. But if we set it up correctly, we can often get a pretty good view of what's going on. Like, are there any pets in the house? And most of us do this, but we do it in a questionnaire. And the problem with questionnaires is parents are busy and they don't want to fill out a questionnaire. So the best way to get this is you either gather in a meeting, like, we're just admitted the family in the school, and we just want to say, tell me a little bit about your family. You know, who lives in the home? Just like a social worker would. Do you have any pets? What kind of pets do you have? Is your child on any sports teams? Does it have any special interests? Do you have any skills that are really neat that you might want to share at some point with the other families or the kids of the school? Are you a doctor, a dentist, a carpenter? What do you do in the world? So again, what would you like us to understand? There's a new baby on the way. Grandma's about to move into the house. We're planning to move from one house to another house. All kinds of things that might be going on. Another thing I would ask is what concerns you? What concerns are you carrying? How would you like us to communicate with you? Do you like text or do you like email? Do you like voicemail? Do you like it if we send you written information? What works for you? Again, what we're trying to do is find out what are they worried about and how can we help them. We call it the 4 Ps, and you may already know this model. The first is prepare yourself. Get yourself calm. If you're worried that these parents are going to sue you or withdraw from the school or say nasty, dirty things about you and try to get you fired, just get yourself calmed down. Get a drink, whatever you got to do, calm down. Second, in talking with a parent, let's take a look at what do we know? What's happened before? What brought us here? Okay? So we want to acknowledge where the child began. We want to celebrate any growth that's already been achieved. Um, and then we also want to acknowledge we understand that there's a concern. That's why we're having this conversation. The second is we want to look at where are we in the present? What are the specific objective observations of what you or your teacher is seeing now? And you want to be very, very specific. Describe the behaviors, the patterns, and never, never, never label. Like, I think he might be neurodivergent. Maybe he's on the spectrum. You're not equipped to be a diagnostician. So keep your opinion to yourself. It doesn't mean you shouldn't suggest, I think we need to take a deeper look, but let's not be diagnosticians. And many teachers will snap to and say the wrong thing to parents. And next, we want to develop a plan. That's the 4th P. So prepare, go through the past, look at the present, and then develop a plan. And the plan is, what are we going to do from here? What are we going to do? And get it in writing. So follow up the meeting with notes quickly. There's a great use of AI, by the way, if you don't already use AI for this, because in a matter of minutes, what used to take an hour can be quickly pulled together. And by the way, it doesn't mean that your AI agent isn't going to say something stupid. So you need to train AI. So you want to learn how to talk to parents and to talk to your staff in a way that is likely to build more relationship. And there's lots of ways to do this. For example, we want to lead with strengths, beginning every conversation by naming what we generally see in the child that is we really appreciate, that we respect this kid. Again, the parent wants to know that you like their kid. The next thing is you want to describe observations that you're specifically seeing as opposed to labeling the child. Say what you see, not what you think is going on for the child. The next is you want to listen to the other side without any defensiveness. Just listen. Tell me more. Tell me more. It's my favorite phrase. Receive a parent's worry as information, not as criticism of you or the teacher. The next is you want to ask about their hopes and their dreams. What do you most want to see happen here? How can I help you? And you want to agree on what are going to be the next steps. And sometimes you just don't know yet what exactly you're going to do. But as you reach decisions together, get it in writing. Training your staff how to talk to upset parents or how to talk so the parents don't become upset is a really good investment of time and money.